Now, as AI reshapes the world of work, many young people feel anxious about their future careers.
Here to tell us if AI really is changing the job market and what we can do to support the next generation is psychotherapist Colman Nochter and the host of For Tech's Sake podcast, Elaine Burke. Good morning, folks. Thanks for coming on. So you're both here to talk about young people being worried about their potential jobs of the future being taken away from them by AI. But Colman, you had a really interesting article in the Irish Examiner just recently where you spoke about your young daughter worrying that she won't be able to get her dream job.
Yeah, my daughter's 12 and she's into Marvel comics and that sort of stuff, and she loves animation, and she's always said that she'd love to be an animator. And we were having a conversation a few weeks ago, and I'd said to her, how's the plans coming along for that? And she said, no, I can't do that anymore. And she'd seen things that animation has now been taken over by AI, so there's no market for hand drawings, and so literally she was saying I have to go back to the drawing board again. And you know, and I suppose it was kind of just a snippet of a conversation, but I would work a lot with older teens and those kind of approaching CAO and things like that, and there has been a lot of them questioning whether this career choice will even exist in years to come, and trying to, I suppose, sidestep things that AI is coming down the stream. And we see that in self-service checkouts, we see it in any utility company you try and link with. Call centres are a thing of the past, chatbots have taken over, that sort of stuff. So I think anxiety is a fear of the unknown, and I think a lot of young people are maybe in that level of uncertainty around their future, and their big choices when it comes to CAO and things like that. You want something that is going to be opportunity in, and I think that's becoming a more difficult choice now.
OK. Elaine, like a survey done last year by YouGov found that 85% of young people felt unprepared and anxious about entering a labour market that is increasingly influenced by AI technology. So are there job sectors where AI has done this, and should they be worried?
Yeah, like I think like part of it is actually some of this anxiety, like for your daughter, was created by this media storm around AI, because there's not a day goes by that you don't have a headline saying this industry is going to be destroyed by AI, and they are overblown claims, and a lot of the time they're quoting tech CEOs who are making these claims, and just because a tech CEO said it does not mean it's true. And it certainly should be taken with a grain of salt, because they are selling this technology a lot of the time. And actually, to the point, Anthropic, one of the key developers of generative AI technologies, when they were hiring recently, specifically said that they did not want people to use AI in their applications, and that would kind of disqualify them from applying for the job. So they understand the quality of assessing someone without these assistive tools. But it is obviously going to change things, and there is anxiety. And I do think one of the challenges is we have a situation where a lot of this hype and a lot of anxiety in the media is being created. And also, a lot of businesses are buying into the idea that's being sold, that these generative AI technologies specifically, because that's really what we're talking about here, because AI is much broader than that these tools are plug and play and can immediately replace your staff. That's the idea that's being sold. And businesses are buying into that. And I think it's a fallacy that they're buying into. But unfortunately, it is. Every day I hear of people in the industry that I'm in content creation, who are seeing teams depleted, budgets cut. And it's to do with this idea that AI can do this work for them. And the people who are in charge of that work are saying that the quality is not there, and that the standards are not as high as if they were working with the colleagues that they previously had.
Are there, like, looking on the other side, are there positives to this? Like, is AI creating new jobs or a new path into the workplace for some people?
Well, that's the other thing as well. Like, I mean, I'm an independent content creator myself, and I work for myself, and I'm freelance. So on the one hand, people might actually choose to use AI for work I might have provided them with before now, and that means that there's probably less work available for me. But then as an independent content creator, there's lots of things that I find AI very useful for. And what I mean there is I use it for, say, transcribing an interview, which as a journalist, transcribing interviews is one of the more tedious tasks, and it takes a lot of time. And with AI, I can do that a lot faster. I always have to check it, though, and review it myself before I actually use what the AI has transcribed. But that is a huge time saver for me. But that's something that I've been using for a long time, and I understand the practice of using it and how to use it effectively. In some cases now what's happening is that people are just plugging these tools in under the assumption that it can do what they've been told it can do, and it's not to be trusted in that way. And there's this term human in the loop being used a lot of the time, and what I think people should move towards is saying expert in command. Because it's not that, like, you should just be, like, willing to cooperate with this AI and you should just be not knowledgeable about the thing that you're trying to get it to do. Because if you're not, you're not going to be able to check it properly, you're not going to have good oversight on it, and it's not going to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Well, I was saying just before we started, I saw a letter recently written with AI as an assistant, and it was littered with grammatical errors and spelling errors.
Yeah, there's huge problems with its accuracy. And there's a tool called Grammarly that has been really popular and has used AI in the past, but has plugged in more generative AI into the system. And that's meant that it's actually started learning from its users, but it's learning bad habits from its users, and they're actually transpiring as corrections. So you're getting incorrect corrections on your text. Like, that's a challenge that business has to overcome. But they clearly didn't stress test this newfangled invention. But as a company, they're putting in AI into their environment because that gets them investment. That's what gets them attention these days. So there's lots of mistakes being made here. And even like when you're talking about hiring and firing, Klarna, which is a company people might have come across, it offers you the chance to buy in installments on various e-commerce websites. Their CEO went gung-ho on AI and said he was going to replace all of his customer service teams with AI. And within a couple of months, he had to roll that back and say customer service has depleted and we now have to take a different strategy. The strategy was then to create gig workers around customer service. So it's still not really in the spirit of good hiring,
Still
but it's
kind
just
of zero-hour contract kind of stuff. But you've kind of like unfounded the fear there of like all these jobs being eliminated by AI, which is great to hear. But Colman, for parents out there who are maybe with children who are struggling, how can they kind of soothe them or inspire their kids to chase their dream amidst all of this kind of AI panic?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I mean, fear is based on perception, not reality. So even if that's not the case, and as Elaine explains, if people are hearing these things, the fear of crime is more impactful than the actual statistics around things like that. So people will still be anxious and uncertain, even though that may not be the actual reality. But I think we have to think about curiosity and creativity and value that. And again, like something like drawing or something like music or something like art, we can't just mass produce that through AI and lose the beauty of that. And my fear is that we'll have children who are potential poets who'll never write, potential musicians who'll never strum a guitar, or somebody who's a potential artist who'll never doodle because they won't believe that it has any value. So I think we have to send that message around that. I also think the unintended consequences are oftentimes like we created, technology always promises to give us more time. You won't have to go to a travel agent, you won't have to go to the bank, but they give you something to fill that time, like TikTok. So from the point of view of the promise of what it offers, it oftentimes fills as well. And so we have to be careful that these promises that AI is going to give us so much time to do things that technology will probably offer another offering to fill that time as well.
No, when it comes to art, we need the human touch. We need
as technology becomes more humanised, we have to be careful we don't become less human in response.
Absolutely. Wimbledon is on. And Elaine, there are protests because AI has been introduced instead of line judges.
I think this is really interesting because what it shows is that while you have this narrative coming from the tech leaders that AI is a positive change maker and transformative and it's good and great, you have this very visible sour public sentiment around AI. And I actually haven't seen it happen so quickly in the tech media world, that the public has turned so quickly on a technology and been very vocal about that. And I think that's really positive because people are being more critical about these things and not accepting the narrative that's being pushed on them. And that's why you see these protests at Wimbledon, which are related to the use of more AI to replace the line monitors. So it's Hawkeye technology. It's just the next evolution of Hawkeye technology. And Hawkeye has been around for a while. It's been using AI for a while. So it's what I'm kind of trying to say all the time is that AI has been here the whole time. It's actually just been evolving in the background. And I think protests and things like even the writers and actors strikes previously have shown that you can make it so that these technologies, which can be useful in many, many ways and can be something that people want to experiment with even creatively, because there are electronic musicians who, traditional musicians may have snorted at, but like that is a valid form of creative expression now. So there is ways that you can use these tools creatively if you're a creative person. And what they won in those strikes in the US was that they had the right to use AI in their creative process, but production companies and distributors couldn't kind of use it against them. And I think collective action and protest and stuff like that is actually really important to make sure that that's the road that we take here.
All right. Well, it is fascinating. your daughter, she's going to keep drawing.
Yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes, she will, because
God.
she should. And we work with AI rather than allowing it to work against us.
Yeah.
The future remains bright.
Yeah, use technology, don't let it use you.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. Coleman
to
and
see you
Elaine,
both.
thank you so much for joining us.